them, so I'm just going to hang up here too. I'm going to use the clicker. So, what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is ordinary versus extraordinary. And I think my character, they told us the character is Mulan. It's my wife's favorite movie. So I jumped onto that, but you'll see why in a bit. So ordinary versus extraordinary. I wanted to today highlight something for you guys that has been introduced to me that I think kind of was an eye-opener. So maybe it'll open some eyes, or maybe you guys already know this and you'll just encourage me that you already knew this information. So ordinary. When you think of ordinary, what are some words that you think of? What comes to mind? For me, think of common, maybe usual, average, plain, normal. Some of the basic words for ordinary. Any other words that come to mind with ordinary?
Vanilla.
Day-to-day, vanilla. Okay, so.
Listen, Mr. Gray, settle down.
Hey. Okay. Now, when you think of extraordinary, some words that maybe come to mind for me are above average, special, amazing, incredible, uncommon. Okay? So the word extraordinary, what's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary?
Extra.
Oh my gosh, you guys already got the training. I love it. Okay. It's the word extra. Just 5 little words, or letters, right? 5 little letters is the difference, okay? But between that difference, between ordinary and extraordinary, there's a little bit of a gap. But I think, and I don't know about you, that sometimes we think that that gap is massive. That this is this big, gigantic gap between average and above average, normal and beyond the norm. Sometimes we think that that gap is gigantic. So, in some things, that little extra may not make a huge difference, or it could. So if you think about reading, for instance, so who's here is a fast reader? I love it. It's not one of my fortes. Okay, so if you had like a really, really good novel, Stacy, like 50 Shades of Grey. No, if you had a really good novel, how fast would you read a really good novel?
A day.
A page turner, what?
Yeah.
A couple hours? Well, that's just too quick. No, okay. Okay, how fast though?
I ain't going to sleep.
A day or two for, she's not going to sleep, day or two, read a good novel. If you trimmed up a couple seconds per chapter or even per page, what difference is that gonna make? Is it gonna make a big difference? You might cut a couple minutes off that, maybe a little bit of time. But in reality, that second could make a huge difference. See, we sometimes think that the space between our goals and ourselves is huge. That the regular life that we may live or the regular thing we might do between the extraordinary life we could have can feel like a huge chasm. Has anybody ever felt like what they're doing now, or the life they're living, or the things they have, or the lack of maybe abundance at times, that the distance between that and what they really want seems very far away? Does anybody ever have that? I saw some heads. You can raise it, we all know, I can up too. Okay, sometimes we think there's this huge chasm. So who here has heard of Usain Bolt? Anybody know who that is? Okay. Sometimes sports reference don't work for me. Okay, so Usain Bolt is the Olympic gold medalist who won the 100-meter dash he did it in 9.69 seconds. That's like really quick, okay? So if I had to get out of that chair and walk up and get this thing, and I think it took me more than 9.69 seconds. Okay, so we all know Usain Bolt. Who won the silver? I have no idea. It was Richard Thompson. Thompson. Yeah, I can't say his name. I see his name. Okay, right. But what separated Usain Bolt, gold medalist, from Richard Thompson? What? 2 seconds?
Oh no, probably a
Point,
hundredth of a second or something crazy like that.
0.2 seconds.
Point
Wow.
two.
Right. So the difference between extraordinary, never done before, gold medalist, world champion, fastest time in the history of ever, was just that little bit extra. That little bit extra. So the question is it worth it?
Absolutely.
I love it. Absolutely. Is it worth it? So let's talk about those extras that it can take to go from ordinary to extraordinary. The first question I have is, who's ready for a little extra? A little extra. Okay, perfect. Some people are definitely a lot extra, but we're going to talk about. But that's a whole different thing. Okay, so extra effort. So a little extra effort. When we invest that little extra effort, it can yield a significant difference. So what's an example of doing a little extra effort?
Customer service call.
Customer service phone call.
Booking one more party.
Booking one more party. Let's take it down to so we separated gold, godlike status of running between someone we don't know by point 2. So book an extra party, great. Let's simmer it down. What's an even smaller thing?
Leave a magazine on the docket.
Leave a magazine. We're gonna get that one in a second. Send a recipe. What about one more phone call? One extra post. One extra like. One extra share. That little bit extra could separate that ordinary month to that extraordinary month. Because as we heard a minute ago, she went back and made that extra call and the next one out of the gates. Has anybody had that experience before? Right. And we all have had that experience. So what stops us from that little bit of extra, that little extra effort, when we know that it pays off? We all have those experiences where it pays off. Another extra, my clicker not working now? Okay, is a little extra time. A little extra time. So this is, I love this one. Leaders develop daily, not in a day. Anybody know who said that? John Maxwell. Leaders develop daily, not in a day. So a little extra time. Who has extra time more so than the rest of the people in the room? Anybody? Oh, she says she has it. She can't. Okay, she's got extra time. But who has more time than everyone else?
No one.
No one. We all have the same amount of time. But the extra time comes into play is how you choose to spend your time. So who here honestly, be honest, and you can close your eyes so you don't see, no one will look at you either, spends every minute of their day 100% scheduled and is 100% spoken for. There is never a cat video watched. There is never a YouTube video. You didn't get sucked in to AGT watching the American All-Stars. You haven't looked at a cable show. You haven't gone and seen Jerry Springer reruns thinking that it's there. You haven't rearranged your pantry. Who has 100% of their day is 100% used to accomplish the things that are most important to you? 100%. Right. But here's the thing. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is sometimes we go to that extreme that I just described. We go from whatever we're doing now and we say, well, I don't have that much time. I don't have that much time to put all of that in it because I've got so many other things. But that picture before, the Grand Canyon, the gap between extraordinary and ordinary is not every minute of every day. It's not bigger than the Grand Canyon. It's a little extra effort. It's a few more minutes. It's spending a little more time. That's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. It's not all the time. And that's one of the challenges I think that we get into is we think, well, I don't have time to do 12 parties. I heard that somebody's running 10 parties every single week. I don't have time for all that. So how many do you have? I got one. Okay. Do you have a little extra time to do 2? Because we go right there. I want to go to Disney, so I gotta do all this, and okay, what are you doing now? Well, I'm only doing 3 parties. What'd she write up there? Where's the first number? How many did you need into March? 6. So you have 2 parties right now. Okay, so you can go right up to 4, or maybe, if that freaks you out, because you think that's what it takes, would 3 have been better than 2?
Yeah.
So it's that little bit more effort, a little extra effort, a little extra time. Okay, clicker, work for me. A little extra help. A little extra help. Okay, so who here, again, nobody's looking at you. Who here doesn't like to ask for help?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Right. Who here is thinks that if they ask for help, okay. Who here thinks that if they ask for help, it says something possibly negative about themselves?
No.
That's good. Oh, sorry. We got someone who's stubborn. They're saying they're stubborn ass. So a little extra help. We all need a little extra help. You can't do everything on your own. And so who's a director in the room? Did you get to that title and that place by yourself?
No.
You had some help. Your team helped that process along. Okay? So a little extra help. Who here has ever gotten a tip from someone about how to do a show better, how to make a call better, how to get a customer servicing better? Right. Did you ask for it?
Yeah.
Or did you come to a training? How did that happen? So let's give an example.
Training.
Going to training. Can somebody give me an example of where they picked up the phone and said, I need a little help? Perfect.
I wear Casey out.
Where's Casey out? Right. So Casey's like, that might be a little too extra help. No, that's perfect. So a little extra help, that can be the difference. Sometimes when we think we're bothering someone, or we think, well, I've already asked them 17 times, then I would describe that as a different issue. But if you haven't asked, maybe it's time to ask for a little extra help. A little extra help. Okay, it's those extras that separate extraordinary and ordinary. So when we look at it and think, what are a little bit extra I could do in the form of effort, in the form of time, or help? Let's think right now, and I'd like you to write this down. What's the little extra you're going to do? The little bit extra you're going to do. Now, I'm going to go from 4 parties to 28 this month. That sounds really good. I think you should have that goal, and if you want to do that, it's wonderful. But let's write something down that we are 100% positive we can do consistently, that little extra effort. And if it is to quadruple your show schedule, I love it. But what's the little bit that we can do? So who wants to give us an example of a little extra effort they're committing to right now? Consistently make your 5 how many are you making now?
I made 5 yesterday for the first time.
Perfect. So I'd keep that going. So what's something that someone is doing but that they can add and they can do a little extra, whether it's time, effort, or help?
Well, for me, it's PC University, because I'm still new, and there's lots of things that, like wedding registries and different things that I'm aware of, but to get the fine tuning on what they are, and sitting down in the morning with my coffee and just turning that on and watching it, and just taking that in and making that a habit, so that every day I'm just learning a little bit more of something I didn't know before.
That's great.
Yep. What else?
I'm gonna keep it real short in my naps and put more time in my business.
Time. She's going to give some of that nap time to business time. I like it. Okay. That's good. 6 virtual parties. How many are you running now? 4. Okay. And do you feel like that's a chasm to jump, or that's very doable and you can definitely commit and do that?
I think that would be doable for me. I think if I went over that, and not that I couldn't achieve it, but I think just setting something as far as 2, and then maybe next time if I hit the 6, bump it up more.
got it. Now this can be a little, I don't know, controversial, but contrary to sometimes our inner feeling, we think that to hit a goal, and we set those goals, it's okay to, of course, we want to set high goals, and we want to do everything we can to achieve them, but when you get to that flat level for you, whatever yours is, it's that little bit extra. So if someone's running 10 parties a week, and they're 100% tracking towards their goal, at the pace that they want, they're excited, they're energized, could they do a little extra? You can always do a little extra. The difference is, and the challenge I think that I want to leave you with for your mind is that it's not always about running the marathon instantly. It's what can I do a little bit more to get closer to my goal, maybe a little bit faster or a little bit more, because that's what separates that ordinary from extraordinary. Because if you find your own ordinary, and your own ordinary is crushing it every day, are you content? Is that your ordinary? What could your extraordinary be with a little bit extra effort? So,
It's
to
your
wrap it,
marathon.
what?
It's your marathon.
Your marathon, right, exactly. So, I think that all of you are extraordinary for coming here today, to investing the time, putting the effort in, and being willing to get this help that's being put out there for you. And in the words of Mulan, a single grain of rice can tip the scale. One man or woman may be the difference between victory and defeat. Thank you guys so much.